Hello and welcome to China Focus. I'm Shelley Zhang. It's being called a hacking epidemic. Last week, the New York Times revealed that they've been under cyber attack from Chinese hackers for the last 4 months. Right after they said that, so did the Wall Street Journal. And Bloomberg and the Washington Post say they've had the same thing happen to them. But it's not just media organizations. Human rights activists, multinational corporations, embassies, and even defense contractors have been attacked by the same string of Chinese hackers. Now, the list goes on, so where does it stop? Today to talk about this, we have Jason Ma and Chen Zhifei. So, the New York Times said that in their article when they revealed that they'd been hacked, that they believe it's because of the Wen Jiabao story that they ran last year about his family's finances, and it seems that the hackers were trying to target some of the people who were involved in that story directly. Do you think this was retaliation for that? Well,
that was my first response. I thought, okay, that's all because of their revelation of Wen Jiabao's wealth. That was also huge, in terms of his reaction, both in China and United States. But then the issue spread out to other similar publications, Washington Post, New York, and Wall Street Journal. So I think it's probably more systematic rather than just one particular incident targeting a particular person like Wen Jiabao.
Right. I guess it's probably, I agree. I mean, basically, it's a way they operate. I mean, it's they just like all the companies in U.S. It's just something like whenever they want to get there to hack you, they will do it, and they work on New York Times just because they right now interested in you, and meanwhile they have interest in many other places. They just kind of consider all the U.S. company is their backyard. Whenever they want to get there to search something in your drawer, they will do it.
Well, I think what is really interesting is in previous cases, we knew Chinese had always been hacking the U.S. systems. I think people were under impression that they were after some kind of information technology or some confidential information. But here, the hacking is targeting the news media. That's something very, got people caught off guard.
But I think people are thinking they wanted information about the story.
Right, that's in this particular case. But I think the point is that they have a stable kind of operation group. That's their daily job.
Yeah.
I mean, they will kind of do this for this time, and then next time they are interested in your defense, they will go to your defense department. Next time they want to figure out how Boeing make a plane, they will go to Boeing. I mean, so they have a huge, probably either you call it army or you call it the kind of bureau or you call it institute. They do have a huge amount of people daily working on this. That's their strategy.
Well, that seems kind of something that I don't know if a lot of people, really want to kind of admit that, because it seems pretty scary.
You don't want to admit that, but there are people in the United States, very high-profile personality, would have come to the same conclusion. Just giving one example, CEO of Google, whose name is Eric Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt has recently published a book, not yet available to the public, but be out in April, that argued along the same lines that we are doing here. That is, the Chinese propaganda machinery and a whole information gathering system have been morphed into a new kind of mode that would make it very, very, scary in terms of its effect.
Right, I guess that's the reason I think the New York Times shouldn't really kind of claim, because I'm here also they attack me. No, they attack everyone whenever they want to attack. I mean, basically, that's their working mode. Basically, people found that the attack is started from kind of a morning in Beijing and then they finish on that. Basically, that's their daily job.
That's a 9-to-5 job. They started at 8 and then get off at 6 p.m.
Right, they're even saying that they seem to be gone during Chinese New Year.
Right. Let's wait and see a report on that.
So I guess it's not a kind of like isolated case. It's not like so everybody is vulnerable. Basically, this is.
So are you saying people should just get used to it?
No, I think I really like what Mr. Schmidt kind of make the point. I mean, he raised this whole thing to a higher level of awareness, because originally people consider hacking is just a bunch of kids randomly doing things. No, now it became a China's national strategy. And they consider everyone's computer is their backyard drawer. I mean, their drawer. They can search it whenever they want to search it.
I think a lot of people realize that if they go to China, like journalists realize that when they're in China, it's very possible that their phones may be tapped, or the people that they meet with may be monitored and things like that. But like it seems that that's no longer it's not like a border issue anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about the media organizations. They have joined the list of the target of the hacking. I think that's kind of new. I think my take of this would be something like this. I think the Chinese society has become more open to the outside world, whether it is the preference of the government or not, and they can no longer exert similar control over their media. There are Chinese versions of the Wall Street Journal, New York Times. I'm not sure about the Washington Post. And Chinese people also flock to the website, and more people understand English. So this really make their firewall, a great firewall, whatever they set up to stop information flow, a little bit vulnerable. There are cracks in this firewall. And so, and on the other hand, the Western media has taken up the slack of the Chinese media, because Chinese media have to toe the lines of the official, of the government official. They cannot openly discuss or report anything. And the Western media say, hey, we have a chance there. We'll contact local people, we'll get information, we'll publish the story outside of the world.
But I think the bigger thing is what Mr. Schmidt is talking about. I mean, what can we do about it? I think the point is this is a symmetric war, and U.S. has a moral kind of standing, has a legal system which is kind of efficiently kind of reinforced. So here, you consider hacking is illegal and hacking is immoral, but over there they don't have all the rules. I mean, basically, they even consider that's kind of a necessary procedure for China to achieve whenever they want to achieve. Well, so this is something.
Well, let me ask about this. Okay, so for these companies, the ones that have been hacked, or the Washington Post, it was hacked in 2011, and it was over the span of several months, and they were trying to figure out what was happening. They never said anything about it, and we've seen this before. Several times that these companies have been hacked and didn't publicize it or didn't talk about it.
I think this resulted from largely some unjustified optimism in the advent of information technology advances such as the internet. What we heard a lot from people or experts was this will bring about a collapse of a communism or dictatorship. The internet will really bring down the wall that exclude information from the outside. But people tend to neglect the other side of the issue. That is, the totalitarian regime was not idle either. They were trying to come up with ways to use internet to their own advantage. When Mr. Schmidt, remember, he took a trip along with Mr. Richardson to North Korea recently. He brought along his daughter on the trip, and his daughter told a story to a British magazine about what they experienced there. They were sent to see or visit a classroom filled with computers. But then when they entered the classroom, they found nobody was doing anything on the keyboard. Everybody was just giving blank stares. So eventually they found out those classrooms were set up as a prop for the game North Korea is playing, to give them a very superficial facade, which is false. So the central regime like North Korea and Chinese government, they could resort to these approaches.
No, I think that's the example is opposite of what China is doing. China, on the surface, give you a feeling of they are get closer to the society, they kind of to the world, and but in fact, they are really kind of developed a whole new set of kind of game, which is the free world is not ready to face.
Well, let me ask about this. The Obama administration is reportedly weighing, having a more aggressive response to the hacking attempts on U.S. companies, not just the U.S. government, but threats to cancel visas or put purchases of Chinese goods through national security reviews, things like that. Do you think that would help at all?
I guess that's a good first step. You have to do something like this national level, because individual company can never fight with a nation. So the U.S. government have to do something like this. This is the first step. Of course, this may not be the silver bullet, but but it's a necessary first step.
Well, so the Chinese government's response to this, like the Ministry of Defense was saying that, hacking's illegal under Chinese law. It's completely groundless to accuse the military of being involved in this. You don't have any proof, and every time this happens, their response is pretty much the same. Like, how dare you accuse us of this? We're also the victim of cyber attacks. So is it possible to deal with, a government where their response is just to deny everything?
I think that first of all, books done by people like Mr. Schmidt and the viewpoints expressed by us would help. So there have to be some change, the public awareness of this issue. The hacking event or activity is real, and it could target anybody living in the United States. And on that basis, I think people would react positively to the government's reaction against the Chinese invasion of the U.S. Sovereignty. I think I see it as a sovereignty being violated.
Right, and I think that's a kind of a new concept that more and more people should accept and then should stand the ground, because right now it seems like all the U.S. companies are too soft on this issue. They consider that's a minor issue. No, it will be more and more severe if we are not doing anything about it.
But if the government says, well, we're not doing it, then what do you do?
If I have to say, it's not my responsibility to really fight kind of against the Chinese nation, the whole kind of country. It should be at the international country level have a solution, like an international treaty or kind of agreement, and so that people establish some global accepted moral standard. If one country, for example, China, refuses to accept it, the whole world can really kind of work something on China. This first kind of a global moral standard should be established. For example, at least you shouldn't get to other people's computer, right? Right.
So, okay. Well, thank you both for joining us and talking about this issue, and thank you for watching. For more on this and other issues in China, join us at ntd.tv.